One of the common mails that I receive these days is 5 days to go for the examination. I have not studied even one chapter, or 10 days to go for the examination, that is a September-October midterm examinations, but I have not completed my revision. What do I do? Now, many of you obviously are having your first term examinations towards the end of September or in the first half of October, and suddenly there is a sense of panic because you are not well prepared enough, or what you have prepared so far or what you have studied so far, you don't remember it well enough in order to be able to put it down on paper and score high marks. So the question obviously is, what will happen? Hello and welcome to Study with Sudhir, where we are going to give you the solution exactly to this problem, for which I get a lot of comments. Now, it's also a new experience for many of you, and that's because in fact, none of us have ever given an examination in this kind of an atmosphere where you are actually taking the examination while you are sitting at home. The questions are coming on your laptop or on your mobile screen, and then you are uploading your answer script for your teachers to evaluate, right? So it's a new kind of an experience where also the temptation to cheat will be more, and even those students who do not cheat would always be feeling a little insecure that what if that student who is not as good as me cheats and gets 5 marks, 6 marks more than me, right? So there is always that added worry, which is another facet, another aspect of these examinations that are taking place while you are at home. Now, but this video is not to talk about the cheating aspect. We've already done a video on online examinations and on the cheating aspect. You can go and have a look at that. But this examination is specifically to address the concerns of those students whose examinations are starting from September 28 or the 5th of October, and what they should do now in the few days that they have left. In my opinion, you need to do 5 things straight away. And if you do these 5 things well, I can assure you that you will do reasonably well. Reasonably well, I'm qualifying because it also depends on how well you use the remaining 1 week, 2 weeks that you have ahead of you. Point number 1, do not panic, because when you worry, all you're doing is only generating negative hormones into your body. And when you do that, you send negative signals to your brain, and then the brain actually transmits the same negative energy to other parts of your body, which is why you feel queasy in your tummy whenever you are actually going through a whole lot of anxious moments. It affects your entire physiology. The entire human physiology is affected. So you need to tell yourself that you need to avoid that temptation to actually panic. Number 2, you need to tell yourself that all is well. You need to tell yourself that all is well and calm yourself. Point number 2, and that brings me to the second point, is speaking to yourself. Why is speaking to yourself so important? Because you are the one who can actually motivate you the best, more than any other motivational speaker, including me, anywhere on the internet or in your family. You are the one who can actually motivate yourself the best in order to actually perform the best. Take inputs from everywhere. There is no harm in that, but use those inputs in order to motivate yourself and tell yourself that you will make the best of this worst situation. The best of the worst situation. Because how many times haven't we seen someone like an MS Dhoni or a Ravindra Jadeja or a Hardik Pandya scoring 23 runs of 6 balls in the final over of the match and winning it for their team, winning it for India? Haven't we seen that? If each one of these cricketers also thought that it is not going to be possible and only panic, none of those victories would have come for India. Don't we know that? So you need to have that immense self-belief and tell yourself that nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible, and you need to have the same spirit, inculcate the same kind of energy and spirit. Now to the third stage, the third point. Plan yourself. You know exactly how many days are left for your examinations to start. So plan yourself. Look at the syllabus for these term examinations. How much percentage of the syllabus you know well? How much of part of the syllabus is something which you don't know so well? It's like iffy. You know a bit, but you don't know the entire thing. And there would always be a certain percentage of that syllabus which you do not know at all. Nothing at all. So what you should do is to focus on the second and the third part first. The first part is kind of taken care of because you know it fairly well. But the second and third part are the ones which you need to focus on. So keep a target and look to finish that portion of the syllabus as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Efficiently being the key word. Read the textbook, read your notes, look at videos, whatever it takes in order to understand that part of the syllabus well. Point number 4, time. You have no time to waste. So you need to increase your productivity. It's just like in cricket, the last over when the run rate is climbing up, you know exactly how many runs you need to score of every ball, right? This is your run rate. You are seeing that your run rate has climbed up because you have not scored enough chapters. You have not read enough chapters in the initial part of your academic innings. So all that pressure has piled on to your last over, the last few days before the examination. So your run rate, your strike rate has to be that much better. So you need to now show that even under this kind of acute, extreme time pressure, you will be able to do well. Maybe you will not be able to score a 90. Maybe you will not be able to score a 90. But as opposed to a 60 which you may get if you don't study at all, with this amount of hard work that you put in the last mile, the last few days, you may be able to end up at an 80 or even an 85. And that, according to me, is very good and will be counted as a very good achievement. So why not put your best foot forward and try to score at least an 80? Because remember one thing always, the marks are only a byproduct, because it's always possible that the chapters you always disliked, the chapters you always avoided, the chapters you hated, during this time when you are studying them under pressure, you may actually come to love those chapters and realize that, wow, this is a good chapter and why was I hating it all along? Point number 5, remain off social media. Do not embrace social media. You need to take a break from those addictions called social media platforms, including the IPL. Even the IPL on television needs to take a break for these few days before the examination. Because as you know, when a Ravindra Jadeja or a Hardik Pandya are trying to score those 23 runs of 6 balls, they are not thinking of the party that will follow if they actually go on to win the match. They are focusing on every delivery that the bowler is bowling. Their focus is entirely on those 22 yards and the bowler steaming in to bowl those 6 deliveries. That has to be your attitude. You need to show how well you actually respond to the challenge, because that will distinguish you from someone else, some other classmate of yours who did not even bother to try at all. So you need to show your personality, your character, your attitude, your hunger by actually giving it all in these few days before the examinations. And I really hope these tips help you. Now for the book recommendation, and a lot of students have been telling me that they would want to receive those book recommendations. If people don't like it, well and good, but let me give you a book recommendation. Now this book, which is on Veerappan, this book I had actually bought in 2018, read it in one sitting. It's a very gripping tale of how Veerappan, right, the forest smuggler, the elephant poacher, was actually killed in the month of October 2004, right, just before Dussehra. And the book is written by K. Vijay Kumar, who actually led the STF. He was the one who was leading the operation in order to capture Veerappan dead or alive. And in fact, I remember traveling to Satyamangalam forest, interviewing Vijay Kumar, interviewing his team at that time. And we had done a very fine documentary on the capture of Veerappan, how that entire operation was planned at that time. Now this book, which in fact has a comment written by actor Akshay Kumar, it says, an honest account with incredible detailing makes Veerappan a gripping read, which is very true. In fact, I was reading the last few chapters. The first few chapters are a lot of detailing about what all Veerappan did in his early years. But the last few chapters, the second half of the book, is an absolute gripping read, unputdownable, which details out how Operation Veerappan was planned, how that night panned out, how he was lured out of the jungle, and how he was shot dead. So the entire operation very, very meticulously planned by Vijay Kumar and his team. It was as much of a mind game as one played out by the people who are actually shooting those bullets. So Veerappan, who eluded the police force of both Karnataka and Tamil Nadu for so many years, finally shot dead just before Dussehra. So it was a very different Dussehra. I remember in Mysuru when I had gone there with people talking and making those comparisons between Ravan and Veerappan in those years, because you remember he had kidnapped a whole lot of high profile personalities in and asking for ransom or asking for some other kind of exchange in lieu of returning the person who was abducted, including late Kannada actor, matinee idol Rajkumar. So I would recommend this book for anyone who is interested in reading about how Veerappan was captured by Vijay Kumar and his team, and kind of brought the curtains down on this great, I mean, whatever Veerappan did, the kind of cruelty that he inflicted both on the elephants and on the human beings during the time that he lorded over the jungles of Satyamangalam. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you.